Well, good morning, everybody. Ms. Hunter, can we open the meeting by having you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Woods,
Present.
Mr. Schaefer,
Present.
Mr. Regis has requested an excuse. Dr. Ford,
Present.
Vice Chair Lewis,
Present.
Chair Thomas.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. We have to do two things today regarding minutes. At the November 20th meeting, we didn't have a quorum. The only thing we did was we took roll call. So Ms. Hunter has informed me that she needs us to approve that fact, so we're going to approve that. And then the minutes need to be approved from the October meeting, and they're contained in your package for today. So I'll give everybody a couple minutes to look them over, and if anybody has a problem or a question, let us know. And if not, we'll approve them and we'll move on. Anybody have any questions or comments or want to discuss anything regarding the October meeting minutes? None? Do we have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? They're approved. Now, as I indicated, November 20th, we didn't have a meeting. I think we had 3 members present, but we did have to make a record of who was present and that we weren't going to be able to hold a meeting. Anybody have a problem with approving that fact? Okay. Anybody have a motion to make? Approved? There you go. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Moving on then to the subparagraph C, unfinished business. Update from commission staff rate proposed ethics ordinance amendment status. We have Ms. Parisian here today. No update? Nothing? Well, there is something that I would like to say because, and I'm going to address this later. Today is my last meeting. It has been a privilege serving with everybody. I've served on a couple different commissions. I've served as counsel for commissions. I've served as a member. And I will tell you, I've never worked with a more dedicated, a group with higher standards than this group. And I will tell you that one of the most important things that I think we worked on in the past was the concept of amending the rules governing the board, what our procedures are, what the requirements are, what we have authority to do and not do. Now, I'm going to tell you, as of today, those proposed amendments have been pending for 2 years. And if anybody wants to correct me on it, you can do that. They've been pending for 2 years. Ms. Parisian and Ms. Johnson have shown up at various meetings and given us an update, but essentially there was no update. What I want to tell you is this. You need to know, Ms. Lewis knows this, but all of you need to know that was the second round of proposed amendments. 3 years prior, this group, as it was then constituted, submitted proposed amendments, asked for them, never got any movement on it at all. And that was why 2 years ago, me and Ms. Lewis put together, and Mr. Schaefer, we put together a subcommittee, and we came up with additional changes. Some of the original proposed changes we adopted, but we made a lot of other proposed changes. And we never heard anything on it. So what I would say is this. At the January meeting, you're going to be doing several things regarding housekeeping matters. One of the things that you're going to be doing is electing a new chair and vice chair. And I think that I think that what you want to impress on yourselves and the new officers is this. We felt that those proposed amendments were important. We really did. We wouldn't have taken the time to do it. Ms. Lewis and Mr. Schaefer could correct me, but we put hours in on that. I mean, that wasn't a simple matter to go through the code, and we've got a lawyer that helped us out. He did national research on any rules that we felt we had questions about. We want to know how other states did it, how they handled it, even how the city of Detroit handled things. Mr. Longstreet did all of that. So we haven't had any movement on it. I honestly don't know. There's no advice I can give you other than the advice that Karan Pinkins, the former chair, gave me when I took over. He said, you're going to have to keep after everybody to try to get movement on that. So hopefully, and it's a very serious matter, I would have almost preferred, to be very candid with you, I wouldn't have been happy with it, but I would have preferred if they said, we're not going to make any changes and just end it. Quit putting it on our agenda every month. But we never heard that. So maybe what you have to do is keep it on the agenda for future meetings, and maybe what you want to do. And look, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to make any secret about it. I haven't talked to Ms. Lewis about it, but I'm going to tell you, nobody asked me to do this, but I'm doing it. I would recommend that you seriously consider, when you have your meeting in January, voting her in as chair. She's done an excellent job as vice chair. She's very bright. She's up to date. She keeps up with things. You've heard the comments that I've made on an occasion or two where a complainant tried to criticize her for maybe not disqualified. You've heard my views about her being honest and ethical. So maybe what you got to do is this. You got to think about what else we could do to get movement. We don't want to have to get Miss Parisian in here and put her on a barbecue pit and heat her up, but we got to have some movement on it. And like I said, if nobody is going to be serious about it, well, we got to let it go. So Miss Parisian, we want to thank you very much for the update, which is really a non-update, but that's not your fault. That's a non-update. And those are my words that I would urge you to carry out in 2025. All right, so now let's go down to D, new business. This file has been around a while, from James and Helen Orsett, regarding alleged probate court violations. You may recall, we had Mr. Longstreet write to them and tell them, look, you haven't given us enough information. You got to name somebody. You just don't write about you can't complain about the probate court. You got to write about somebody affiliated with the probate court. Well, he did that, and what they sent back was information regarding a judicial officer, a judge. With that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Longstreet for more information that he may have regarding this, and then a recommendation.
All right, we did receive a complaint from Mr. James and Helen Orsett, filing a formal complaint against the Wayne County Probate Court and Wayne County Probate Court Judge Terrence Keith. The notice of complaint was provided to Judge Keith via email. He was notified of the complaint. He was sent a copy of the complaint, and he was notified that he could respond but did not have to. We have not received anything back from Judge Keith at this point. However, we don't have any jurisdiction over the Wayne County Third Circuit Court and or any of its employees. That would include its judicial officers. Thus, my recommendation at this time is that the matter be dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction.
Any discussion? No discussion? Do we have a motion?
I move that it be dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction.
Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the recommendation is approved. What will you do, Mr. Longstreet? Will you send them a letter and let them know that we didn't find any facts or law that would give us jurisdiction in the matter? How will you word a letter to them? I want us to be very polite and courteous to individuals, especially when we're not going to be able to do anything for them. I think that's very important. So what would your idea be regarding a letter?
Oh, it's in a letter indicating that we don't have subject matter jurisdiction over the matter. We won't be able to assist them.
Well, that's fine. That's a form letter we have?
We do.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. All right, no other questions? No,
I just recommend a little bit. Can you just explain a little bit what subject matter jurisdiction is? Because I don't know if he may understand. I don't think he's a lawyer. They're a lawyer, so they may not understand what subject matter. Brief.
I can break it down. For sure. Yeah, no problem.
All right. All right, moving on to item 2, discussion of the 2024 year-end report. We had this presented to us at the November meeting, but as you know, we didn't have a quorum, so it couldn't be approved. I will tell you that I've looked it over the last couple months. I've gone over it with Mr. Longstreet. I'll just ask this, does anybody have any discussions, questions, comments, suggested changes? If so, let's hear them. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at it over the last couple of months? We'll give Mr. Schaefer a minute. It looks like you're looking at it now.
I've reviewed it before. I was just kind of double checking it. But
Okay,
no comments with regard to it.
all right. Do we have a motion for approval of it? Of the report?
Motion for approval of the report.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The report is approved. Mr. Longstreet and I will sign the report. It's my understanding after the meeting today, Ms. Hunter is going to run a copy and we'll sign it and get it out.
Okay.
All right, subparagraph E, such other matters as may be properly submitted to the board. I will tell you, in January of each year, for the years that I have been on the board, we approve the meeting dates for the year. Generally speaking, we've always agreed that it'll be the third Wednesday of the month. Consistency is often a very good thing because people could plan vacations and trips and holidays and what have you. The reason I'm bringing this up today is we don't have a meeting date for the January meeting. And if we did that on the third Wednesday of the month, that would be the 15th. So unless anybody has a problem with the 15th of the month, I would like to be able to get an email out indicating that we're setting the January 2025 meeting for January 15th, and that in January at the meeting, when everybody's electing officers and approving the calendar, you'll be able to approve meeting dates for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
How about everybody else? Anybody have a problem with that date? I don't think we need a motion on it, but I'll just say this, Mr. Schaefer, is the 15th okay with you?
I may not be in town, but I may not.
Well,
be in town with-
Okay,
or anyway.
they're okay, very good. Well, what we're gonna do, Ms. Hunter, I'll get an email out later today indicating what I just said. Okay, we got to tell them, the meeting is gonna be downstairs.
Yeah, Joe Slazak, a policy analyst. Because we're having committee meetings that day here in this room, the ethics board meeting will be at 9 a.m. in the commission chambers downstairs.
Which I don't think any of us really care for, at least I know I never did. And I heard people grouse, but I'll cover that in my email too. And Mr. Slezak, if later today, when I get done with my court hearing scheduled for the afternoon, I'll try to get the email out. If I miss anything, maybe you'll cover it up, okay?
And then
All right.
and one more thing.
Yes,
Yeah, Joe Slazak, policy analyst. We have a kind of a tradition of when somebody leaves the board to present them with a framed certificate. So,
oh. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't open it. I get that. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you. When we're done, I'm gonna have somebody take my phone and get a picture of me. Thank you all very, very much. It's very, very kind. The other thing that I would like to discuss under this is the fact that prosecuting attorney Kim Worthy, who I think the world of, and I've done a lot of defense work, criminal defense work in my time. I actually worked at the prosecutor's office for my first 5 years when I got out of law school. I think she's done a great job and continues to do a great job, but she hasn't appointed a member to the board.
Oh, so you have.
And I would say this, I don't really know how you're going to handle it, but what I would tell you is this. We could not hold a November meeting because we didn't have a quorum. If she had had an appointee on here, he or she might have been able to attend the meeting. You got to do things diplomatically. Going back to right around the first part of the year, I think it was February, March of this year, she did appoint somebody, but the person, it's my understanding, couldn't serve because they didn't live in Wayne County. So that was put on the back burner. But I really believe that would encourage Miss Lewis, if you're elected chair, which you are, or whoever the chair is going to be, somebody to consider writing her a very, very courteous letter. Because I know that Mr. Slezak has contacted our office in the past to try to see if there was any movement on it, and there was nobody appointed. So we're going into a new year, and I think it would be very, very handy if she was able to appoint somebody. So that's my spiel on there. I don't think we can include that in the minutes if you want as a general discussion, but I don't think we need to take a vote on that today. The other thing that I would like to do, I've already told you how I feel about Miss Lewis and my recommendation for her. I hope nobody feels that that's inappropriate. I did want to make one other recommendation. Mr. Schaefer has served on this board, I think, for longer than I have, but there was a break in his service because you could only serve 2 consecutive terms. Mr. Schaefer served with Ms. Lewis and I on the committee that came up with recommended proposed changes to the ethics ordinance. It would be my recommendation that you consider appointing him as vice chair. I think he does an excellent job. Unless he didn't want to accept it for some reason, I think that he and Ms. Lewis would make excellent officers for the board. So that's something else I wanted to
Now,
mention.
Do we, is it January that?
January,
that?
yeah, you would do that at your first meeting in January, provided you have a quorum, and I believe you will. I know that, Mr. Regis will be back in town by then.
Yeah.
So I think you'll have, more than enough time to do that. I guess with that, unless anybody else,
I know you won't be at that meeting. Would you accept that point if we recommend you for vice president? So you won't be there, I mean, your
vice
vice chair,
chair,
vice chair, since you won't be here.
Glad to.
Okay.
okay? All right, well, we have to turn to Ms. Hunter now and ask, do we have any public comments, people waiting online, people, that you've heard from?
There are no hands on Zoom, no emails, and no emails were received.
Okay, very good. Well, that takes care of public comment. That moves us down to subparagraph G on page 2 of our agenda. Does anybody want to make a motion regarding adjournment of today's meeting? Don't all jump at one time.
Before we adjourn, I just want to thank Mr. Thomas for his service, and it's been great serving with you these last 4 years. I've learned a lot from you, still learning, and you will be on speed dial.
Well, I tell you what, you could always feel free to call me.
Thank you.
I'd be-
Keeping that open.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor of adjournment?
We don't
Yeah,
have.
I don't have a motion yet.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a motion?
Oh.
To adjourn the meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Meeting adjourned.